4.78, we are going to be talking about our trig functions, but now let's say we are given inverse trig functions. So it's and the basic idea of finding an inverse trig function is if I want to find the angle, I know what my units are. I just need to find the angle. So that's what an inverse trig function does for me. So if I had, let's say I knew that my sine of theta or my sine of x equals 1. My sine of x equals 1. And I need to know what's x. What is my function that I would get? What degree would I need to have x as to get 1? Well, to do that, I take my inverse or my arcsine of 1. So you take the inverse. So you take the arcsine of sine of x, arcsine of 1, and then that will give you the degree. Or arcsine is also the same thing as saying the sine of the inverse sine to the negative 1 power. Both are equivalent in this world. So we're doing arcsines and inverse sines, but they are the same thing. They can replace each other. So let's find the arcsine of 1. Going back to our unit circle, let's think about what that means. The arcsine of 1, right? That means that our theta, our angle has to be in such a way that the sine has to equal 1. So we look at our unit circle, right? Our unit circle here, this is positive 1. So if it is positive 1, my sine has to be in the upper 2, right? My sine has to be positive, and my hypotenuse will always be positive. And I'm going to work with what I know. I know the 30, 60, 90, right? So I know my 30, 60, 90, and I know my 45, 45, 90. I know that here, right? This is my sine being my y value, this being 0, 1. Oh, wait, 1, 0, I'm sorry. 1, 0. So here, my sine is 0, but up here, 0, 1, my sine is 1. At this angle, my sine is 1. So my theta in radians, we're going to be working with radians today, is pi over 2. So my answer is pi over 2. The arcsine of 1 is pi over 2. Now, if I were talking about arcsine of negative 1, well, then I want the negative 1. Wouldn't that be 0, negative 1? It'd be here. So instead of saying pi over 2, I can also say negative pi over 2. I'm going down this way to pi over 2 when we find the arcsine. It's the same equivalent of 270 degrees, 3 pi over 2, but web assign wants negative pi over 2. Let's try some other ones. Let's try some more examples. So let's say I have arc cosine. Let's say I have an arc cosine of root 3 over 2. Well, let's think about that right now. Root 3 over 2, cosine being here, and cosine being adjacent. So that means root 3, 2. So then the opposite of this, right? This would be 1. So I'm dealing with a 30 degrees since it mirror pairs up with my 1. 30 degrees, and this is positive being pi over 6. So my answer is pi over 6. Let's think of another one. Let's say we have arc sine of 8. Here's the thing. There is nothing within the unit circle because the unit circle stops at 1. The largest value being 1. There is nothing that's gonna give us an 8 ever. So this is impossible. Anything larger than 1 is not possible in our realm. Let's try another one. Let's say we have tangent of -1, so the inverse tangent of -1. Same, it means the arc tangent of -1. Same thing. So let's think of when tangent is 1. Tangent is 1 when we have a 45, 45, 90, right? When this is 1, 1, and root 2. So here, tangent is 1 when one of the ones is negative. But we're always working with 45 degrees. So at negative 45 degrees, or negative pi over 4, is when the inverse tangent is